know why it's not working. Oh, maybe. Hey, it looks like maybe it's working. There it works. Okay. Sorry, everybody, if you were waiting. We're live now. Joining me live, Judah J. You can hang out with me. Hey. Okay. Boom, boom. I'm gonna put this. Sorry, Tess. I know we said 10. I'm trying. We're doing a little live hangout. Good morning, Heath. Here in the office. You let me know if people ask questions, or you can read them out. We're doing a little live. I'm just putting the link in. Nicolo, good morning. Nicolo. Do you think it's Nicolo? You see he's got the little dash above his O. I don't know what that means, if it means.
You're up. Evening
good,
for you.
Good evening to Leon. That's right, it's still morning for us. Isn't that crazy? It's a big world. Yep. Right, I'm gonna try and get the link. Tess, if you're watching, would you post the link in the Kickstarter comments? I think that would be super helpful. Derek, hey Derek. So good to see you in the stream. We're just gonna wait for a minute, and then we'll do some Q&A.
Who was that down there on the live stream? There was like a picture.
Oh, that's just Facebook. We'll see if Tess is posting this here. Boom, boom. Oh, Francois has posted for us. Live on YouTube. There's the YouTube link.
Okay. You too, Derek.
Derek's glad to be here. We're glad to be here. It is beautiful and sunny here in Lincoln City. I don't know what the weather's like in your region. Thank you, Francois. I think it's Francois.
I think. Is it Francois?
I don't know. It's, oh, you're talking to them. Got it. I don't think it's hard because you can't hear anybody, right?
Yeah, but
they can sound out in the chat. And you have to realize they're like, takes them about 30 seconds. So by the time we're done saying this, then they'll feel it. There we go. Oh, there it is. In English, just say Frank. So okay. We'll say good morning to Frank.
Hey,
and
Frank.
Also to how would you say that? Aditya.
Tess Anderson.
And hey. Tess is here. Hazel, good morning to my niece, Hazel. I hope you're rolling over and having fun.
Congrats on cracking 500,000.
Says Brady. Awesome, thank you, Brady. Yeah, I can't believe we're having such a fantastic run. Did not think we would be anywhere near this close. So it's super fun. Hey, Mark. So good to see you. Really fun. Yeah, so I just thought it would be fun to go live and check in with people. Let everybody know that yeah, we're just having fun. So I've been reading through all the Kickstarter comments. I know there's a bunch of comments like on Board Game Geek, and so I just thought it would be fun just to do, I don't know, maybe a half an hour or so and try and do some live Q&A for you guys. And I've got the prototype behind me, so you can, if you have any questions about components, I can go grab them and show you guys. All right, so we got some questions. Do you want to read it out?
Sure.
This is my son Judah, by the way. He's helping me stream. Go for it.
So the first one is, Is the game more of a playthrough, a liner campaign, or more open world? Hey, what's over there?
And that was from Sebastian?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sebastian, for the question. So is it more linear or open world? And so the design is 100% open world. So the goal is you and your friends sit down and the map is in front of you and go, where do you guys want to go? Do you want to head north towards this? It looks like maybe there's some mountains this way, or we could go into this forest over here. And we just want to draw you in. We want you guys to sort of make your own pathway through the world map. And then when you find somewhere, you can choose, like, do we want to go in here? What do you think is going to be here? And so, yeah, open world. All right, great job.
Next question from Jonathan Franklin. Can the story progress through exploration or stealth? Or do all roads lead to combat in the progress story?
Can story progress exploration or stealth? I'm trying to figure out exactly the meaning of it. Sorry, Tony.
I think
what do you
means
think?
Like, if you go on any road, will it end, or will there be like fighting on the road?
I see.
On all roads.
Yeah. So.
Like only on some roads.
That's a great question. So, like, will you always have combat no matter what you do? And the answer is each sort of location on the world map is handcrafted by me. So I've designed like all these encounters, and so I'm trying to think exactly how to say it. Kind of like a D&D campaign. I'm your dungeon master, and so some of the things you can avoid combat if that's applicable to that situation. If that's what you're asking, can you avoid combat sometimes? Yep, you can. And so a lot of it will be up to you to explore and see what happens. But every encounter is going to be unique and individual, and so it's not mechanically, it's not like, okay, every time you have to sneak by or you have to fight, it kind of varies. So, all right, do we have another question, Jude?
Yes. In Iridia, are you able to play a mage warrior, a mage warrior, or any other kind of hybrid classes?
That's a good question. So as far as like hybrid class, you can't take class skills from another path. So you will pick at the beginning of your campaign, you will pick which path you're going to do. That being said, your skill tree, I'll just go get a skill tree so I can show you guys. Excuse me, Jude.
Yeah, and one of them's asking. Jonathan is asking if we can increase our volume.
Increase the volume. Okay,
yeah.
Let's see.
I want to increase the volume.
OBS Studio. I can bring the volume up a little bit. Check. Is that too high?
How's that?
Is that too... So, like, sorry. I'm new to streaming. This shows that when I talk, my voice is in the yellow. I don't know if that's too high or if that's where I'm supposed to be. So give me a thumbs up if that sounds better, and a thumbs down if you want me to go back to where it was. Okay. Frank says better. So, hang on. Just gonna get the workers. I'm just putting this back together. Okay. So, hang on. Well, we're going to talk about the paths real quick. So this is the skill tree for the warriors. And so when you begin the game, you'll be level 0. When at the end of the tutorial, you'll be level 1. At level 1, you can choose any of the skills in this column because none of them have any prerequisites. This is kind of like a tech tree for your class. This is the tech tree for your class, basically. So every time you level up, you get to take one you get to learn one skill. So you would take the skill that you want, and then you push softly on the right side, and it will pop out. And now you've got this cool skill token, and this will go into your, sorry, it's not focusing. It will go into your player mat, and it'll stay face up like this. And it will give you a little combat or sometimes non-combat little achievement. So you will have to do something to master this skill. So you've gone to the guild and you've been trained in this skill, but you don't have it mastered yet. And so to master it, you'll have to do this little achievement. Once you've done that, then you get to flip the skill over, and it will be in your player mat for you to use. Your player mat has 5 skill slots. And so you can see very quickly there's more than 5 skills here. So the way that you build your character is going to be unique. And over the course of the game, there are 12 skills here, and you'll only be able to learn 10 of them because there's 10 levels in the campaign. And so you'll have to make some meaningful choices about your character and how you level them up. That being said, any skills that you've learned, you can swap out when you go back to town. So you could maybe have a build that's all about exploration. And so you maybe take discipline because that will give you extra stamina so that you can travel further on the world map. And then it's like, okay, now I know we're going to be going into like this cave and I have a bad feeling about it. So I'm going to like go swap out my skills and then have more of a combat-based build. And depending on what kind of combat, maybe you're doing a solo run. So you're just playing all by yourself and you want to have more defense. So maybe you're building like a defensive build, or maybe you're working in co-op with 1 or 2 or 3 other players and you're like, I'm going to be our combo generator. So I'm going to generate this resource called combo. And then maybe the rogue is going to be spending that combo on big attacks. And so you're working together, synergizing what you're building, your character like, and what the teammates are building. So there's a lot of flexibility there. But multi-classing is not one of the things. All right.
I got some questions.
We got a lot of questions. Sorry, going slow.
So
better, but not too loud. Oh, should I scroll up? Let's see. I'll try and answer a little quicker so we can.
Right here. Why is there no currency metal coins? Zaya had one of the best designs regarding coins.
Wow, thank you, Leon. That is makes me feel very good that you think the coins in Zaya are awesome. I love the Zaya coins. Yeah, right now it's basically an expense thing. The amount that you use coins in Zaya is far higher than the amount that you use currency in Iridia. And so the gameplay to me did not warrant having metal coins. If we get to funding, maybe we will have this conversation again. So we're going to focus on getting funded before we talk about stretch goals or anything. But all right, hang on. I just wanted to say, read through. Thank you, Mark, for the praise. So many fun comments from people. I'm terrible at multitasking, so sorry. I'm trying to skim and talk at the same time. Not good. Sebastian says it's refreshing to see a real funding goal. I don't want to say anything about other campaigns, but for us, the budget was something that I have, and not just me, Ira and David. I've brought in my father, who's really good at finances, and really considered and spent a lot of time measuring how can we make this game, which is from a manufacturing and financial standpoint very ambitious. How can we realistically make it happen? So that's why the budget is, or the funding goal is so high, and to take into calculation all the. Anyways, yeah. Okay.
With the giant rat monster, for example, can I decide to attack the rats diagonally to go for critical hit
For a critical hit on its neck? That is a great question, Derek Holt. Yeah, so depending on what weapons you have equipped, you can apply different attack patterns to the monster's hit grids. And so depending on where those are and what weapons you have equipped, yeah, you can definitely take that route out. So yeah. So we'll keep going. Sorry.
Hi, are there plans to bring a demo for Iridia in Tabletop Simulator?
Jactan Gutierrez. Thank you for the question. I do currently have a prototype of. I have a prototype in Tabletop Simulator, but right now it has a lot of content, and so I'm looking at basically spending a couple hours cutting content from it to bring it down into just what we're showing on the prototype, so that there's no spoilers in it, basically. And so it's possible. What we were thinking about doing is actually running people through it as if doing like game demos. I don't know what you guys think about that, if it would be too frustrating if we didn't have enough slots for everybody. If 3,000 people want to do it and we only have 15 slots available. So I'm talking with David, who works with me at Far Off Games, about running demos for people. So I think that could be fun.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Dylan. My brother Dylan's in chat. Hi.
Hey,
Dylan. We're just going to jump to Dylan because
Dylan.
family sometimes takes priority. Sorry. Dylan's question is for Judah. Judah, which path would you choose for your character?
I would say either the path of shadow or the warrior path.
Nice. All right, thanks for the question, Dylan. We're going to go back up. Let's see. How replayable is the game, says Sebastian Cador. It is completely replayable. So Iridia, we've designed it as a green legacy game, so when you've finished the campaign, you can reset the game entirely back to how it was before you started, and you can pick new character, and you can go on another adventure. So let's see. Cameron Privet says, I pre-ordered Iridia all day one. So excited to play it. Thank you, Cameron. So excited. Let's see. Lots of nice comments from Martin with a J in the middle. Martin.
Hi there. Could you tell
question.
us more about the organization you want into offering?
We got to read it out loud if we're going to read it. So Cameron Privet says, question. What elements of Iridia are similar to Xayah or inspired by Xayah? I know you've said this is very different, but the exploration of the world is a similar theme. Yeah. So Iridia and Xayah are dissimilar in a lot of ways, but there are some through lines. So I actually started with like Xayah tiles as for the like very, very, very beginning prototype of Iridia, and sort of started at like, what if I did a fantasy Iridia or a fantasy Xayah? And then things evolved, and actually at one point I had to make a choice. I was like, am I making a fantasy Xayah or am I going to make what turned into Iridia? And so at that point I decided it was more exciting to my heart to pursue a new version rather than like just reskinning Xayah. Like, let's do something totally different. But as far as like exploration in Xayah, it's super fun because you have the stack of sector tiles. You shuffle them up every time and you put them out and you go, I don't know where they are. And then when you flip them over, if you've played hundreds of games like I have, then it's like these are old friends, but you don't know where they're going to show up. And then the way they interact mechanically based on proximity is super fun. Iridia is much more like a D&D campaign in a box. Like if you think of a game like Skyrim, where the world is wide open and then there's lots of handcrafted stories hidden throughout the world. And so with Iridia, my goal is to have this sense of we've been playing this campaign, maybe you're halfway through the campaign and you're like, I have no idea what's around the corner. So rather than like old friends, it's like we're having new experiences every time. It's like I don't know where we're going, what's going to be here, and you explore on the world map. I'll get the world map for you. So you explore on the world map, and there are 3 of these maps in the game. So this is the first one, and at some point, this is called the Basin. Thank you, Judah. At some point, you'll be able to travel to other ones, and the way you explore this is totally up to you. And the things that you find, once you find them, you get to go inside them with a zoomed-in map. So I'll go get a zoomed-in map here. This is just a sort of generic one, so it's not spoiling anything. But the world, like you jump into one of those hexagons and it'll be something like this. And then there's pointers on the edges of these, or sometimes like staircases that will lead down, and there'll be more of these. So in the game, there's 300 cards of all different sizes. So there's like the big ones, there's medium ones, there's small ones, and long ones. And you jump in from a hexagon to one of these, and then this will point you to other things, like to other parts of the map. And when you find a hexagon, or when you find a location on a hex, you have no idea where that's going to lead. And so it's a different kind of exploration from Xia, like a different flavor, I guess. So one is a randomized exploration, and one is like I have no idea kind of exploration. So, good fun.
Yeah, Sorry. We do have dwarves in here.
Judah's answering questions. There are dwarves. Let's see. Hang on. Dylan says Steve Holt. Let's see. Could you tell us more about the considerations that went into offering a true solo mode of play, says Holland Paul. Yeah, so when I originally started designing Iridia back in 2014, solo was not really something I was thinking about. And since then, the solo community has grown and is super amazing. And so probably I want to say it was like 2015, 2016, people on Board Game Geek were like, please consider true solo. And so from that time, Ira and I talked, and I was like, I really want to like pursue this. And so there were some significant changes that had to be made because I had designed a lot of mechanics, not a lot of mechanics, but I had in my head a lot of ways that we were going to do things because I could count on other players being there. And so I had to do a lot of redesigning and not cutting content, but just reorganizing it in such a way that when you play through things in a solo mode, then all the reveals and content is completely hidden from you. So anything that is going to surprise you or delight you, that's totally hidden. And as a result, I really feel like the multiplayer aspect is even better because as the guide, so I'll get the deck of cards. So as the guide, your job is to go through the index and to draw out cards for people and then run that card for them. So if it's an event, you'll basically be the narrator for them and you'll read the event to them. And if there's a choice to be made, then you'll ask them, okay, and then what does your character do? And then you can act it out. You can be, I jump off the cliff, or whatever it is, or you can just mechanically interact with the card and say, well, what are my choices? And I can say, your choices are jump or crawl or something like that. I'm just making stuff up, so I'm not spoiling anything. And as the guide, you actually won't know either. And so the solo design has really increased, I think, the fun for everybody. So, all right. Let's see. So, where were we? Sorry. The chat is getting really long, so Judah, will you pick one? Sebastian says, are you at Gen Con or Spiel this year to promote Iridia? Unfortunately, we're not really traveling this year for conventions, so nope. We hope to see you again in the future. We would love to be at conventions. So let's see.
Squares for movement instead of the hexes used.
Sebastian. Oh yeah, Sebastian says, why are you using squares for movement instead of the hexes used in Xayah? It was primarily just a decision that I made along the way. Artwork, the way that artwork sets on top of each other fit a lot better with squares, and I really like the so one design aspect with Iridia is that I wanted to have like one hand on the past of like nostalgia and games that I've loved in my past, Baldur's Gate and Skyrim, like old MUDs that I used to play online, World of Warcraft, like those sorts of games, and then one hand on the future of like how can I do crystallized, clean, modern game design so that board gamers feel like this is really well designed, and I feel like the content is like top notch. And so I feel like that hand-on nostalgia, just looking at a old like looking at a map with the squares on it, just makes me feel like, oh man, this looks like old school D&D. But the way that we've designed the squares and the terrain markers on them, I feel like it's really well communicated the tactical aspects of the maps. So I'm really happy with the squares. So, okay, we'll keep going.
Those are kind of...
Do the maps fit together to make one large map? Says Heath. Not talking about spoilers. Sorry, Heath. Tess says... Tess says, Dad, I'm watching you 3/4 of the way from my son Zealand. Zealand, hi. Glad you're watching.
Zealand's watching?
That's what it says. But it's from Tess's thing, so maybe they're logged in as Tess on our, so we were watching the Olympics. So anyways, inside baseball. Michael says, will you be doing a playthrough video tutorial of part of the game? Yeah, we can totally do that. We've got a prototype going to One Stop Co-op Shop. So we only made 2 prototypes, well, 3 prototypes, so we've got one here. We sent one to Mark Streed, shout out to Mark, who did an amazing video, and Jeremy Howard, who did another amazing video. You can see him in the Kickstarter page. Those were sort of like overview videos, and we'll try and do some playthroughs just of like the very intro-y, like minor spoilers if you're worried about that. But yeah, we'll do some playthrough stuff. So. Let's see. Any idea when we can see the rule book? Says Todd. Yes. So we have a draft rule book. We have the full rule book. It's in a Google Doc. It does not look beautiful for you guys, and I really want to put my best foot forward. And so Ira and I are working towards having like a nice laid out PDF that we will be able to share with you guys. So there will definitely be a rule book to share as we move through the campaign. So let's see. Joby says, thank you for the solo mode and all the work you've done to include it. You bet. I think solo players are going to have a fantastic time playing. And you can play true solo. So you can play as one character exploring the world all by yourself, which is super fun. And also you totally have the option to play as a multi-handed solo player, so you could play as multiple characters if you wanted to have more of like a Baldur's Gate, this is a party of adventurers feel too. So solo is going to be fantastic. So is it possible for players to jump in and out, or would the balance be off since there would be a different level characters? Yeah, so this is one design that Ira and I have worked really hard on, and the game is designed so that yes, you can jump in and jump out. The current design is that if someone jumps into the game, they will basically, their character will be the same level as everyone else. So that's just so that gameplay works. If you want, you could play that that person would start at level 1 and then they'll have to level up, and the experience gained further on in the campaign is higher than the experience gained at the beginning of the campaign, so they'll level up more quickly. That would kind of be up to your party if that's what you want to do. We don't want as a design that you have to grind, and in fact, it's not super possible to grind. I mean, it's a board game, so you can do whatever you want. You can change the rules, you can house rule things, but yeah, so right now, you can totally jump in and jump out. We do have balance mechanics in place so that so combat is the main thing to balance. In combat, one of our balancing mechanics is that at 1 and 2 player counts, you have 3 actions per turn in combat. In 3 and 4 player counts, we reduce that down to 2 actions per turn. The turns are still meaningful in 3 and 4 player, and in fact can be more important since you have to really judge your turns, but it just means that combat maintains that challenge. So let's see, kind of fun. Thank you for making, oh, sorry. Aaron Brenton says, any chance you can swap the left, right, arm, shoulders, except labeled on the player board, so the left is on the left and right is on the right, silhouette alignment be darned. Yeah, we can. That's something that is, yeah, it's aesthetics. We might actually just remove the titles from them and then let players sort of say what they want. It's not important because the, I'll just grab a board so that people can see what we're talking about. Ah, everything just fell off. So on the boards, you can see up here it says left shoulder, right shoulder. The most important thing is this little icon here, and that's the icon that we use for the hit grid dice, and for, you can see the equipment just has that icon on it. It doesn't say left or right, so we can totally get rid of those. The prototypes are printed, but the final version is not. So any changes that you guys see that would really increase the value of the game or help the design, like, we love that. That's why we go to Kickstarter and not just like, we're just gonna, like, that's one of the things that I really like about the community. So yeah. All right. Tatzelworm says, I love Zaya. Iridia is a blind pledge for me. Thank you. I'm so glad that you love Zaya. That makes me really happy. And to have you along on Team Iridia, even better. So yeah, super fun. Let's see. Any news on possible stretch goals, says Ross. Ross, thank you for the question. Right now, focus is entirely on can we get to our funding goal. After that, we'll see what happens. So, do I have ideas and things ready to go? Maybe. This is our 5th Kickstarter. So I'll just say just a brief thing about stretch goals. So it's super important if you're going to do stretch goals. In my opinion, this is our 5th Kickstarter. We want to do stretch goals that we have thought out, that are planned into our manufacturing timeline. What we don't want to do is overcommit to things and be like, yeah, we're gonna do this and that and this, and then now our timeline is like, well, we're gonna deliver 2 years late, sorry everybody, and then like it messes with the budget and stuff like that. So we will be measured and thoughtful with our stretch goals should the time arise. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. So this is a long name. I'll say Alpar says, I like to pledge, but my English is not so good. A German version could be great. Yes, a German version. We would love to offer Iridia in as many languages as possible. Right now, because of our relatively small size, so I'm the only full-time employee for Far Off Games, and then my friend David works in logistics for us part-time, and IRFA works as designer developer for us part-time. And so I have to be really careful how I spend our time. We spent 2 years ago, we did, I think it was 2, sorry, it might be wrong. David Furno, who works with us, we decided to work with partners in Spain and in Russia to bring Zaya into other languages, and sort of as a test bed to see how much work is this to do other languages. Could we do it for Iridia? And what would that do to our timeline? And so we did that. It took about 1.5 years for those to come through. And honestly, it was a lot of work for David and I, spending explaining PDFs and making sure that resources were shared correctly, and basically acting as tech support, not tech support, but game support. We have to spend a significant portion of our time supporting the companies who are doing the localization. And so for Iridia, just looking at our timeline, yes, we could have done it, but it would add significantly to our timeline. And so we did not feel good about adding 1 year on. So we thought, let's do it in English, and we'll get everything in English done first for our first printing. And then if things go well and people want it in other languages, then we can look at that. So that's why we made the decision. I'm really, really sorry if you were hoping for Iridia in your language, and hopefully someday we can do that. But yeah, feel free not to have to pledge if that doesn't work for you. So, Zealand, hey, what's up, bud?
Hey, Dad.
All right, we're just asking some questions. Let's see, 10:45. We'll probably spend another 15 minutes here, so we'll look at a few more questions. Let's see. Are you gonna, Zach Kohler says, are you going to get up to Portland and run some how to play tutorials at some of the game shops? I'm very interested in this game, but would definitely like to see it in action. Zach, thank you. Would love to get up to Portland sometime. I don't have that planned right now. Sometime, I guess with the pandemic and stuff, we haven't been traveling a whole bunch. Maybe? Not planned at this time. Let's see, Durr asks, when you stick together the minis, are they stable or shaky? Man, that's a great question. So I'm going to show you something here. Jude, can I ask you to scoot? I'm going to see if I can share my desktop, which would be super fun. Bum, 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 bum. Bear with me. I'm going to try something technical. So, OBS Studio. Display. Whoa, nope.
What?
Let me try it again. Sorry. No. There we go. Hey, cool. Okay. So, here's go. Oh, hang on. I don't want to show you anything I shouldn't show you. 1 second. That would have been bad. Spoilers. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this, and let's see. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna share my screen with you. There we go. Okay, so you can see this is our miniature for the Path of Valor, and this is a human head that we've got in it. So this is the 3D model, and how we have it designed is, let's see, I'm gonna go here. So when you pull the head out, you can see inside, there's the hole. I don't know how well you can see that. There's this weird half sphere in the back of it, and then on the head peg, I designed this cool little bump. I call it the bump lock system. So basically, when you slide the head into the miniature, it slides down, and then that little bump, there's just enough pressure that it goes click, and it clicks into place. And you can grab the miniature by the head and shake it around, and it won't come out. And then when you pull it softly, it'll pop, just pop back out. So that's the design of that. It took a long time to figure out. Originally, it did not have this bump lock, and it looked really cool, but then the miniatures didn't function as well as they should, because if you grabbed them by the head, you'd pick the head up and your miniature would stay put. And it's like, that's not, it's really cool, but it doesn't work great. And so this system, I'm really happy with it. And we're gonna work with the manufacturer on each of these to make sure that they work as planned. So we'll get prototypes made and all that. If you watch the preview videos, the prototype that we sent out, the plastic is super brittle. So I actually had to shave the bump lock off of our prototypes. And so the miniatures just slide in real easy, but they don't have the bump lock system in place. So that's what's planned. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing this and go back to me. Okay, hopefully that worked. I'm gonna look at the comments and see if people were like, what did you do? Let's see. Looks like our comments stopped, maybe. Cool. Okay. All right.
Hey, look. Tim's there.
Tim Anderson?
Yeah, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. All right. Let's see. Cameron Privet says, in Kickstarter, you explained that stamina can be spent to move faster to more spaces. What else can stamina be used for? Good question. So stamina can be used for, do you want to be, oh, there you are, thank you. Stamina can be used, so it's used during world map travel to refresh the travel tokens. So there's a system that we're going to go into in an update, which will be really fun, that details basically the overworld travel system. So stamina is used there a lot. Also, we can use stamina for other things if we need, for example, if you're doing a hunt, which is, so you can go into town and you can check the guild's job board and you can take a job and you can go do that, and you can spend stamina as part of like the hunting process, or sometimes you need to spend stamina to do different jobs. We can also use it as a resource to activate skills, so we can have skills that are stamina related. So we can use it for all sorts of things, and it's going to be different depending on which path you take. As far as if you're the warrior or the rogue, the stamina will be different for you. So maybe warriors might have more stamina-based skills than others. So the importance of that resource varies. Let's see. All right, people thought it worked, which is cool. Will the figures also be washed and varnished? Washed, yes. Varnished, I don't think so. But the paint that Panda, our manufacturer, uses is extremely durable. If you have a copy of Zaya, you can see like you can chew on those ships and the paint's totally fine. So, Dur says, thank you for answering your question. You bet. Are you worried about paint eventually wearing off the mini heads? No, I'm not.
He said he hopes that we're reaching the funding goal. And actually, we're 3/4 of the way there. First day!
3/4
Boom! First day.
Yeah, so, very good. Let's see. Can you show us how the role-playing aspect of the game works? What happens if the player talking to the NPC doesn't choose any of the bolded keywords? Okay, so Gus, hang on 1 second. I'll see if I can get a NPC that doesn't spoil anything. I'm looking for our...
Just how about like the guild leader?
I know, I'm looking for Fades.
Fades? Okay.
My prototype's all mixed up because of see. Here. All right. So here's Guild Leader Thades. This is the very first NPC in the very first tutorial thing. So, is that going to focus?
No, you need to refresh him right there. You need to zoom in the camera.
I don't know why the camera has so much trouble. There it goes. Hey, camera. Good job. All right, so so the guide is going to read through the text. When you draw an NPC as the guide, the very first thing you're going to see is you get a cool little portrait. And then over here, you get the name. And below that, you get some details about the character. You don't normally share that with people. If they ask you, you can tell them, I'm Thades, that's my name. You could say something like that if you wanted to roleplay it, or you could say his name is Guild Leader Thades, and you can just interact with the game mechanically. But as far as roleplaying, you get some information about him. So he's this guy. You can see there's a typo here that we caught after we printed the prototype. All the typos, we're gonna fix them all. So
there's a space before.
Yeah, and then you can see his demeanor is gruff, and his actions, he's rubbing his hands. So those are just some little prompts that we give to you as the guide for your role playing. So I'm gonna have a gruff demeanor, and I'm gonna rub my hands because it's kind of cold this morning. And then we have different text box styles. So blue text box is narration text. So use your narration voice. This is if you're role playing. If you're not role playing, you can just again, like I said, interact mechanically. But as far as role playing, blue is narration, and then parchment text boxes mean that you're going to read that in that character's voice. So, after all that training, the day has arrived. Time to get out there and do the guild proud. And so we've bolded different keywords. Those are responses that players could use. If the players want to role play and they say, oh, well, tell me about your Lamborghini, you have this text box here, kind of like an NPC in a video game. If you ask him the wrong thing, he's going to just sort of give you this reaction that will sort of get you back on track. And so we really wanted you to be able to stay in character for a whole NPC interaction. And then once you choose something, the guide's going to flip it over, and on the other side, you have the different headers for all the reactions, and they give you more text. And so you'll, as the guide, you're kind of flipping back and forth between the cards, running the character for people. As a solo player, you're going to just read through it. The information is hidden, so you'll make your choice. Okay, I'm going to choose this, that, or this, and then you'll flip it over, and you can. We've organized things so it goes from top to bottom, so you can just sort of cover anything that you're not reading, or you can just, if you don't care about spoilers, you can just sort of look through here. Anything that needs to be hidden, we put it into other cards. So if you have to make a choice in solo, you won't know what the outcome of that choice is going to be unless it's something minor. So like major things where it's like, oh no, do I choose X or Y? It'll say, draw this card if you do, draw that card if you don't. And you'll be like, you get to make that choice for real in solo. You don't have to do any mental gymnastics to be like, well, if I was playing multiplayer, I'd get to have this better experience. And I can imagine what that's like. It's like, no, as a solo player, you get the full premium experience. You can even, if you want, like in that Pixar short, you can set up different chairs and you can make characters for yourself, however far you want to take it. All right. Let's see, 7:57, that's probably all the time we've got. You want to do one more question? Is there something important? Let's see.
Questions.
A couple, okay. We've got 3 minutes, couple questions.
Should we do the first one?
Go for it, dude. You want to read it?
Okay,
Can you get their name first?
Skitter.
Okay.
As a solo player, that works really well. Too many games rely on textbooks where you have to avoid reading the outcome text.
Thank you, Gitter. Yeah, we don't want to throw any other games under the bus. I think there's a lot of ways you can design games. All I can speak to is how we've designed Iridia and the reasons why it's designed that way. So. Good deal.
What size? That's a good question. What size table is needed for the game, Sean Hicks?
Thank you, Sean. So the game is designed that you need a decent sized table, but we've tried to do a lot of things to make it so that table size isn't
humongous.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to be humongous. Yeah, I'll show you.
You want to show him layering?
Yeah. How about you want to get over there and help me push the table over real quick?
Yeah, sure. All right, just a minute. We're gonna push this.
One.
Okay. How do I push it?
I need a move.
You want to get over there.
Dad, try move.
We're getting closer.
Are we done?
Okay. It's close. Let's see. And then, can we hold this up here? I don't know if we should do this. This is scary.
Hey,
I'll do it if you want.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to fall. We'll just sort of set this here and see what we can do. All right. I'm gonna position this. So you can see our table here. So one of the things that we've done for table size is we've got all the map cards come in these slidey boxes. So all the locations you're exploring, you can take these map cards, and since it's not a stack on the table, you can like set these down on a chair or somewhere else. They don't need to be up on the table. So that's a good deal of table space. And the boxes actually neatly stack on top of each other the way that they're designed. So I'll try and show you here. So we've got big, medium, long, and small, and they all, this one's getting crushed because I took all the maps out, but they all can stack on top of each other. Yep, so that's one way that we've saved table space. Another way is your player mats. So if you notice the player mats, we have 3 player mats, and they're quite large. So can you see that here? I'll just show them here. So you have 3 of these player mats. One thing is your skill tree that we showed you earlier. You don't need to have this out when you're playing. It's only when you're leveling up. So like usually at the end of a session is when you'd use this. And so during the session, you can stack one of these player boards right on top of it and save yourself that much space. Yep. And also, so at one point, these player boards were big. They were designed basically like this. Because they're modular, you can have them in any sort of configuration that you want to save you some more space. So just a couple of the things. But I would say if you have like a dining table, that's probably going to be the best sort of experience. A bigger table, I like a big table because then you can spread stuff out and you can have snacks on the side, not next to your food.
I see an awesome question. I see a good question. Zero Mus, or I don't know how to pronounce that. Is each zone self-contained, or are there quest chains that'll send you across the world? That's an awesome question. Over to you.
Over to me. All right, thanks, Z.
Although, I think...
Yeah, so it depends on the quest. We definitely have quests that do not resolve in a single location. So something will chain to somewhere else, and yeah, a lot of the fun of an open world game is like, oh, I learned about this thing. So we've made all the quests, and I'm saying quests. There isn't a quest system, so it's not like you get a card that says you've got this quest. You spoke to Bob, and he's asking you to find whatever. The quests are all organic, and so for example, if somebody was asking you for an item, like a fetch quest, that item's out in the world. So maybe you just go out and you explore and you like, I found this thing, what do we do with this? And then later on you're in, you come across somebody and they're like, hey, I'm looking for this thing. You're like, that's the thing that we found. And you give it to them. And it's like you completed the quest. And so the game is organic like that. Or maybe you could do that completely backwards, where you would talk to the guy and then you're like, oh, he needs this thing. And he gives you some directions or something like that. And so it's going to be up to your play group. How do you want to play? Do you want to like really talk to people and like, okay, now let's finish this thing that this guy asked us to do, or this girl asked us to do. Or it's like, I don't care what the people want. I'm just going to go explore. Let's do that. And so that's one of the things I love in open world games. Like in Skyrim, I have hundreds of hours logged, and I've never beat the main quest. Because I just have so much fun exploring, and then I'm like, oh, I'll take this to this. Yeah, so anyways, there we go.
Jon Snow says, which game took more time to design, this or Zaya? Iridia wins probably by a long shot. It took over 6 years to design.
Actually, it's close.
Well,
but
close, not
close.
over.
But Zaya was in development for about 9 years, actually.
Really?
So
I thought Iridia.
yeah, you would think so. So I started Zaya, and by the time we got it to print, yeah, it took about 9 years. With Iridia, it's been, let's see, I started it in 2014, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So
I see another
7 or 8 years. It has not been in active development all that time because we did Tabarua, which is another game, and we did the Embers expansion. And but yeah, so.
Oh, there's an awesome question right there. It would be nice to announce the times of the live streams in the next update.
You got it. If we're going to do another live stream, which, I mean, it's fun, and we've got it figured out-ish now, so we'll do another one. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get back into the comments, and I've got a bunch of messages waiting, so we'll be answering. We won't take any more questions for today.
No more?
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah.
If you have more
Bye.
questions, we're in the
Bye.
comments. Huge shout out to David and Ira, Tess, everybody who's answering questions, Kevlar, and Freddie. There's so many people in the community who are like answering questions for us and like really informed. So thank you guys, and we'll be back with another live stream.
Yep.
At some point. So I'll try and do a better job of forecasting it. So, all right. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
We'll see ya.